So we'll start by just asking the audience to tell me who are these two guys on the phone. This is a $1 million question. $1 million?
Is the man on the left the king of Morocco?
Yeah. What's his name?
Just the six.
Oh no.
Hassan.
Hassan II. You see, previous generation have still in mind some information about history. And the one on the right side.
It's Harris.
Peres, exactly. This is Shimon Peres, former Israeli foreign minister. Oh, foreign minister of Israeli state. So, and we want to understand what is the significance of this photo a little bit later. So, let's start by talking about the Israeli and Morocco relationship. Sometimes people would tell me, yeah, the relations between Israelis and Moroccans started with the Abraham Accord. And they talk much more about normalization of the relations between Arabs and Israelis. I would say, no, this is not true. There's one country that starts normalizing with the Israeli states and governments, successful governments, even before, even during the 60s, maybe the 50s. Why? That's exactly what I would like to show to you, that saying that makes Morocco not part of the Abraham Accords. Morocco is going parallel to the Abraham Accords. Morocco did not sign the Abraham Accords in Washington, D.C., beside the Emirati and the Bahraini and the Omani. No, Morocco signed it in Rabat, in the Moroccan, Mohammed VI, King Mohammed VI offices, and guess what? Who signed it? I'll give you the answer to the question at the end of the presentation. So the Israelis covered relations with Rabat dating back to 63. And the date is very significant for us. So when its intelligence service, the Mossad, established direct contact with the kingdom. For what reason? It starts with the Mossad and the intelligence and not with the government itself. The Mossad is the shadow government. Have any idea about the reason why? The students who were present this morning in class. Okay. Go ahead.
I don't remember.
Okay. So it's sad because in '63, something happened in the Arab world, a year or two before. Gamal Abdel Nasser came into office in Egypt by way of a coup. And when they called the revolution of the free soldiers, the officers, the free officers, and Abdel Nasser had a vision for the Arab world. Nasser, inspired by the Arab nationalism, wanted to form and reshape the Arab nation in the Arab world according to his own vision, in which no place was accorded to kingdoms. All of them should be republicans, should be Arabs, and should be nationalists, just to oppose to the British, to the French, but also to the Americans. Helped by that by the Soviet Union in the period. So one of those who was threatened by Gamal Abdel Nasser's popularity is Morocco, and mainly Hassan II. And Hassan II had some information according to which some people, and we come back to it afterwards, are completely. They are trained, armed by Egypt, and they were projects to be sent to Morocco just to jeopardize the Moroccan monarchy in the kingdom. So then the director of the Mossad is Harel and his Moroccan counterpart, General Mohammed of Kir. So those who maybe are too young to remember Mohammed of Kir, Mohammed of Kir is the general who were behind the two coups against Hassan II. And he was a man of confidence. He knew everything about the monarchy, and he was the secret contact with the Israelis during the 60s. So the relationship developed into a secret security partnership and had a strong security component with the form of arms sale and intelligence cooperation. So this is some arms that Morocco brought from Israel, the Israeli side, in order to defend and protect the Moroccan monarchy. So the cooperation between the two countries was very much in line with what we call the periphery doctrine. What is the periphery doctrine? It's Ben Gurion doctrine pertaining to not to go to the heart of the Arab world, which is Egypt at that time, because it was very fierce opponent to, and also was very fierce opponent to the Israelis, but to start by encircling the Abdel Nasser by opening up some relations with other weak regimes and states in the region. So this started by, of course, the monarchies that were threatened by Abdel Nasser's strategy. So the periphery doctrine advocated the establishment of a strategic partnership with countries at odds with Nasser and considered Israel principal enemy at the time. So maybe here the paradigm shifts in regional politics at the time started in the 60s. Just withdrawing the attention from Israel and focusing on Egypt. Later on will be Iraq, and now it's Iran. So you see, it's a doctrine that is evolving during history. So Egypt provided shelter to Moroccan opposition figures, thereby reinforcing Rabat's animosity towards Nasser. And this is how Nasser was organizing, promoting, harboring, sheltering, feeding, dressing, equipping the Moroccan, let's say, radical parties who may do the job for Nasser. So that scared Hassan II. And not only Hassan II, but all the monarchs in the Gulf and in the monarchical political regimes. So the rapprochement here can be seen in terms of, during the 60s, was not confined only to the military arena. And this is very important in the case of Morocco, maybe not in the case of Egypt, maybe to circulate for the Jordanian monarchy, but to a lesser extent. So what happened then? At the time, the cooperation, was open to the agriculture activity. And at that time, Morocco was one of the best countries in Africa, doing very good in terms of agriculture, but not only. They wanted to promote the agriculture because Hassan II's doctrine was, if I happen to feed my people, then they will have no reason to revolt against me. This is very smart. So, which Algeria did not, by the way. They did the contrary. They wanted to develop the industry. They wanted to develop the military, at the expense of the civil society and the well-being of the Russian people in Algeria. And the result now, the Algerian regime is suffering from this. So this non-security related aspect of the relationship could therefore be considered as a form of proto-normalization. I might ask the same time this question. What is the difference between normalization and proto-normalization?
The difference between like a public normalization versus like a more private one that's
Exactly. This is one aspect of the connection between the two concepts. Anybody help in that sense? Never scratch your head at your question. So, please. Ignore your hand. Okay. So, the difference between is the formal politics and informal politics. Real politics versus official politics. So this was the beginning of normalizing without showing that we are doing this normalization in favor of the military or security. This is just to say, well, we are normalizing on a very general spectrum, which is the economy, the commerce, agriculture, and part of it, the military. So, now people were telling that Morocco normalized relations with the Israelis after the Abraham Accord, or with the Abraham Accord. So, the reason why is not true, because Morocco had some normal relations with the Israelis dating back to the 60s. So we're about the facility between Egypt and Israel from 76 up to 78. So even if Morocco was normalizing at that time relations between the Israelis, Morocco considered itself as part of the Arab nation, of the Islamic organization, to the part of a member of the African Union. At the time it was called the African Union. So, and Morocco wanted to have a role, to play a regional role. If at the beginning Nasser was playing a troublesome role in the region with no peace strategy. So war could be just a means to something else, which is peace. But most of the officers did not have this mentality of doing war because we would like to have peace. No, we're doing war because we would like to expel the Israelis from the whole outside. So this radical view was counterbalanced by another moderate but realistic view coming from two other leaders. First of them is the Tunisian presidents, Habib Bourguiba, and the second, Hassan Hussein. Their doctrine was like this: instead of doing war with the Israelis, and no, with the Israelis are not the only Israelis behind them, are all Western powers, the French, the British, and the Americans. So we are fighting against the modern world against the West. So what we can do is recognize Israel as a part of the Arab world, having it into the Arab League, and maybe dissolve them in the immediate surrounding of Israel. Making them like Arab states, living with Arabs, and what is preventing a compromise that hasn't second developed and practiced. Bourguiba stopped at his just declaration. He had some relations with the Mossad and the other secret services, but Morocco went hasn't second developed this not only as a doctrine but a vision. He was a visionary. So to counterbalance the Jamal Abdel Nasser doctrine, he wanted to, let's say, play a role on the peace process with the Israeli basis. And here we can see that in 65 has a second trip, he hosted Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin for talks on the Arab-Israeli peace process and the potential for Morocco to play as a facilitator or facilitating role. Facilitating, that is to say, to bring people all together, to house them in a room and make them talk in a kind of strategy of problem solving or conflict solving. So in September 77, a secret meeting between Moshe Dayan and Hassan Touhami that took place in Marrakesh. Hassan Touhami was the representative of the Hassan II to this meeting. And this meeting in Morocco was crucial to convincing Egyptian President Anwar Sadat. So Jamal Abdel Nasser died of heart attack in 69. 69, and who took after him? Anwar Sadat. Anwar Sadat is a military, but he had a different approach of war and peace. For him, war can play just a role of paving the way for peace, but a real one, a good one, on a win-win basis, and not only a peace that can privilege Israeli interests. So, exactly the Anwar Sadat was convinced by the Moroccan, let's say, version of making peace with the Israelis, and they met another time with Menachem Begin, and they asked him to, even if he's capable of withdrawing from Sinai, and he said no, cannot do that. And this is what a mistake coming from Israeli side. Why a mistake? Because, guess what? This is 77. But previously, what happened? In 73. You tell me what happened in 73? Yom Kippur, this is the Sinai War. When the Egyptians attacked Israel and took part of the Sinai, and without the intervention, the US, the Israeli military was 2 inches about to be defeated completely. So, here, Anwar Sadat, knowing that he won the Sinai War, wanted to develop this into a game. But how can we do that without the implication of a second country as a leader? The US, the Egyptians were not in favor of the US playing that role as a broker for peace, and they privileged the Moroccan charm. And Hassan II played a very big, a good role in bringing the Egyptians to set the Israelis. And the result of this meeting, what happened afterwards? Nobody can predict. But what happened is that Anwar Sadat visited to Jerusalem. He went to Jerusalem, and Hassan II hosted a second meeting between Dayan and Touhami, which took place in Marrakesh. And this meeting was more substantive than the previous one, and both sides came prepared with very well documentation, maps, mainly. Morocco's good relations with both parties enabled to facilitate talks between them and help break the psychological barrier that existed between Israelis and the Egyptians. So what helped breaking the ice is making Anwar Sadat visiting Jerusalem and telling to the in front of the Knesset that Egypt is no longer an enemy to Israel, and Egypt is willing to make peace, but a very good peace on a win-win basis. So, maybe? Yeah. So, in 1986, Shimon Peres became the first Israeli leader to make an official, please, I'm underlining official, visit to Morocco. What does it mean? Official visit to Morocco. Diplomatic recognition of Israel by Morocco and the official recognition of Morocco by France. So you see, it's not a normalization. This is something that can be defined as a long history of diplomatic relations. So the summit took place at the King's Palace of Ifrane. Just to tell you, Ifrane is like here. So here, just imagine, close your eyes and open your eyes and see Ifrane with the trees and the snow. It snows. There's an international ski station there. So you can ski if you. Where's the guy who's going to? You can take your ski materials and you can ski there. So, and the visit was of historical dimension for the Israelis. This is the first Arab country to recognize the Israeli states officially. Still, the level of the diplomatic representation is so very low, which is a liaison bureau instead of an agency. I'll come back to on this later. So, and it that happened between the Israeli officials in the King's Palace. The symbolism is very important. So this is a video in French. It was just to maybe encourage you to learn the French language. Please, take my revenge on you.
Pas de miracle en Palestine, le sommet d'Ifrane au Maroc s'est soldé par un constat de désaccord entre Shimon Peres et le roi Hassan II. Ce n'est pas tout à fait un échec, puisque le dialogue est engagé, mais ce n'est certainement pas non plus un succès, puisque rien n'a été arrêté. De longues heures de discussion dans une ambiance cordiale mais sans vraie chaleur, avec pour seule image, cette image-là rendue publique, ce court entretien donc devant les caméras de télévision, peu de choses pour ce qui était présenté hier comme un rendez-vous historique. Maintenant, chacun va rendre compte, Hassan II à ses partenaires arabes et Shimon Peres à son opinion publique. Monsieur.
So, the meeting nevertheless highlighted strong differences of opinion on matters concerning the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So from the very beginning, Egypt was open to maybe having peace with the Egyptians, with the Jordanians, and to a lesser extent with the Syrians, but in no way they wanted to have Palestine as a state beside the Israeli state. So this is the plans from the diplomatic plans since the very beginning, and we are still in this phase. So, and King Hassan II remained committed to the principles laid down at the Arab League's summit in Fez in '82, which entitled the commitment to establishing a Palestinian state. So, the doctrine behind Hassan II was peace versus or for land. If you give us land, then we'll give you peace and recognition. If you don't give us all the land, we will not give you all the peace. If you give us small peace, we will give you some land. And we are still in this phase. So this is another photo that at the time was quote in the Arab world. Hassan II hosting Ishaq Rabin, who will be murdered even months, weeks after, because of organizing and meeting with, later on, was in 1994, actually, the Oslo Accords. I'm sorry, I'm confusing the times, please. So, the real breakthrough regarding Moroccan Israeli ties occurred after the Oslo Accords. And after of the signing of the ceremony at the White House, Prime Minister Rabin and Foreign Minister Peres made a surprise visit to Rabat. For what reason? Just to go and to thank Hassan II for the efforts he deployed in bringing before first the Egyptians and now the Palestinians into kind of peace. And so shortly after the signing of the Israeli-Jordanian peace treaty, King Hassan II hosted the Casablanca summit in 1994. And you see, Morocco is very dynamic in making peace and not war. And this is still a foreign policy, let's say, tool that Morocco is privileging and deploy it in the long-term diplomatic relations. So, in 1994, Morocco and Israel established partial diplomatic relations in the form of liaison offices in Rabat and Tel Aviv. And between 94 and 96 and 2000, Israeli visited Morocco and Morocco. It's huge. And nobody was harassed or aggressed by why? A lot of, maybe most Israelis go to Morocco as tourists, that they go to Egypt or even to Jordan for whatever reason. Because all of them were Israeli Moroccan background. They were Moroccans speaking Darija, even Berber, so they were Berber, going to the Berber areas, visiting their homes, their families, their friends, and this common memory between Moroccans, Muslims, and Israeli Jewish in Morocco is something exceptional in the Arab world. And Morocco would like to build up on these factors, demographic factors, historical factors, religious factors, to give another model how Jews and Muslims or Arabs can live all together in harmony. So official trade between the two countries, was like going rocketing, and now it's more than that. And there was security cooperation in terms of arms sales. So maybe just talking about the other breakthrough in the Arab-Israeli relations after Hassan II passed away. What happened? All international leaders came to Morocco for the funerals, and Yehud Barak represented Israel with the former Prime Minister Shimon Peres and David Levy. And guess what? All other Arab leaders were there. And he shook hands. And he spoke altogether. So the land of Morocco is definitely a land of peace and a land of comprehension and mutual understanding. So this is what Peres said during the funeral of Hassan II.
I think he was a unique leader. He couldn't be mistaken about that he's a king, that he's a leader, that he knows what he wants to achieve, that he's bound, yes, by a very strong tradition, but he's flying in a very high target, to a very high target. For almost 40 years, he was one of the most outstanding leaders in the Middle East, and all told with a positive treatment. So remember to give and his personality.
So this is statements coming from former Israeli minister, showing how maybe we can explore options for peace and not options for war. War has never been an option. It is a way to pave the way to peace, but not, let's say, a solution in itself. So this will be, this part, second part, like a few minutes, will be dedicated to the Morocco-Israeli relations after the signing of the Abraham Accord, and see how, as you mentioned, Caroline, on December 2020, former President Trump announced that Morocco has agreed to restore, not to start, its pre-Intifada ties, and that both countries would reopen their representative liaison offices in Rabat and Tel Aviv. That is the reason why Morocco closed the Bureau de Liaison in Morocco and in Israel, because they protested against the way the Israelis treated the Second Intifada, and even not making or avoiding the Second Intifada to happen, because there's a stalemate and peace is not progressing. So the joint statement of Morocco and Israel did not directly mention the Abraham Accords, but the State Department refers to the Moroccan Israeli said. And despite the fact that the joint statement explicitly stated that Israel and Morocco would establish full diplomatic relations, including mutual embassies, such a step has not yet been taken so far. Even after the recognition by the Israelis of the Moroccan sovereignty over southern provinces, which is known internationally as the Western Sahara. So this is probably due to the fact that the Israeli foreign ministry has so far refrained from recognizing Moroccan sovereignty over the Western Sahara. But when rewriting this, the Israeli government recognized the Moroccan sovereignty over the Sahara. It's like less than a month ago. And the Israeli have successfully established a security partnership formalizing or the defense ministry, Benny Gantz to visit Morocco. And during these visits, something happened that Benny Gantz make a statement threatening Algeria not to attack Morocco. And the Algerians saw that like Morocco and Israel as doing something against their sovereignty and their independence. So the partnership entailed the sale of advanced Israeli weapon system to Moroccan forced army. And it's still going on. I would say that Morocco is in a very good shape vis-a-vis any potential conflict with the Israelis. Also, Israel has signed several large arms deal with the Bahrain, the Emirates, and Morocco, but still Morocco is much more privileged nowadays. So expanding the Morocco-Israeli partnership to further bolster the Abraham Accords and new forum called the Negev Summit. It's very famous. The Negev Summit took place the first time in Israel, in Egypt, second time in Israel, and the third time is supposed to take place in Morocco, but it did not after a year and a half. Why? Anybody can just say why it did not happen? Because according to the treaty between Morocco, United States, and Israel, Morocco, in full recognition of the Israeli states as a sovereign state, the U.S. promised to Morocco first to recognize the full sovereignty of Morocco over the Western Sahara, and second, to open a consulate in Dakhla, which is the south, the capital of the Sahara. And the United States did not really answer to the contract itself, the agreement itself. And the Israelis pressured actual administration, Biden administration, to do so, by the Algerians are doing the contrary and just pressing not to do so. So this is a little bit what is the actual situation, and so maybe Dakhla is very south. It's very beautiful in the desert, but when you arrive there, you will see like, we would not say Miami, but something similar to Miami. It's very please. So the Negev Forum format should be the departing point for a formal treaty between the United States, Israel, and Morocco, and UAE and Bahrain. This is very important. So at present, most Arab countries that Morocco's right to defend itself against Polisario front that is bred by the Algerians. And however, the biggest threats to the both Moroccan and Israel are undoubtedly an implicit Algeria-Tehran connection. And the Polisario is like a tool into the hands of Iran against Morocco because Morocco became ally with Israel. So you see the complexity of the situation. Today in Iran, Algeria, and Russia, and China, axis is taking shape, and the counter allies, including Morocco, Algeria, UAE, Bahrain, and the US, and that the US leadership is something that should be thought of. The whole region is like reshaped and continuously because the political and geopolitical cards and issues are evolving year after year. So since 49, the past century, NATO has been the most robust and durable alliance established. Such a model could be important for the Abraham Accords countries and strong and committed to the US. So this is exactly what the Saudis were doing, just like 1 month and a half ago. But something changed dramatically the situation when the Biden administration was a little bit harsh with the Saudis. And the Saudis want to show their independence of the international policy by operating a kind of rapprochement with Iran. And the meeting between the Iranians and the Saudi representatives in China was something, wow, that exploded all calculations. And since then, this idea of maybe a small NATO between Arab countries and Israel is put on hold. If not, with what is going on now in Gaza, maybe there would be no chance for it to be repeated or to happen. The final, maybe, so the diplomatic arena of the peace process, so the diplomatic king of Morocco could play a mediation between Israelis and the Palestinians. This is my positive message, maybe to an American audience or to a European audience. Morocco has its own population in Israel, and we have a small, tiny community in Palestine. And Morocco is defending in a way or another their two citizens, be Palestinians or the Palestinian Authority or Israelis under the Israeli sovereignty. But Morocco is the most, let's say, credible mediator, not even the US nowadays. The US lost its credibility ahead of, or in the eyes of the Arab grassroots population. So, and Israel expects Morocco to commit upgrading the liaison to embassy, but in the meantime, Israel is recognizing to Morocco playing a role in Jerusalem, in Israel, Jerusalem. So maybe we'll come to a conclusion. Please, the conclusion is the current geopolitical context bears many similarities with the clandestine partnership at the time of first ties between Morocco and Israel. And you see, all the Gulf countries are scared to death to see how Iran is expanding its influence in the region, and also how Iran may manipulate its proxies just to destabilize the Arab monarchies. And the nuclear strategy, or the nuclear program, is not helping. So finally, the following of the signing of the agreements between Iran and the 5 countries plus 1 gives to the Israeli government kind of, or a sense of approachment to the Gulf countries, just to protect itself from any potential like aggression against this huge discussion that maybe they can, the Israelis may attack the Iranian nuclear stations and program. So in order to do that, you have to have some strong allies all around you. So having said that, thank you for listening to me. And I give you back the floor to Caroline.